What is macroeconomics? Macroeconomics is a branch of economics that studies the behavior and performance of an economy as a whole. Instead of focusing on individual markets, consumers, or firms, which is the domain of microeconomics, macroeconomics examines aggregate phenomena. It looks at the big picture of the economy, including overall production, employment, price levels, and international trade. The primary goal of macroeconomics is to understand what causes economic fluctuations, like recessions and booms, what determines long-term economic growth, how government policies, fiscal and monetary, can influence economic outcomes. What are macro variables? Macro variables, or macroeconomic aggregates, are measures that describe the overall state and performance of an entire economy. They are derived by summing up or averaging individual economic activities. Here are some of the most important macro variables. 1. Gross domestic product, GDP. The total monetary value of all final goods and services produced within a country's borders in a specific time period, usually a year or a quarter. It's the most common measure of a country's economic output and growth. 2. Inflation rate. The rate at which the general level of prices for goods and services is rising, and subsequently, purchasing power is falling. It's often measured by the Consumer Price Index, CPI, or the GDP deflator. 3. Unemployment rate. The percentage of the labor force that is actively seeking employment but unable to find a job. 4. Interest rates. The cost of borrowing money or the return on saving money. Key interest rates include the central bank's policy rate, short-term money market rates, and long-term bond yields. 5. Consumption C. Total spending by households on goods and services, excluding new housing, which is considered investment. 6. Investment I. Spending by businesses on capital goods, like machinery, equipment, factories, and inventories, as well as household spending on new residential construction. 7. Government spending G. Total spending by the government on goods and services, e.g., infrastructure, defense, public services, excluding transfer payments. 8. Net exports, NX. The difference between a country's total exports and total imports of goods and services. NX equals exports, imports. 9. Money supply, M. The total amount of money circulating in an economy. 10. Exchange rate. The value of one country's currency in terms of another currency. 11. National income. The total income earned by a nation's residents and businesses over a specified period. GDP is a measure of national output, which generally corresponds to national income. Key characteristics of macroeconomics. 1. Aggregate focus. Unlike microeconomics, which looks at individual units, macroeconomics analyzes the economy as a whole, using aggregates like total output, total employment, and general price levels. 2. Holistic view. It aims to understand the interrelationships between various broad economic factors and how they influence the overall health of the economy. 3. Study of economic fluctuations. A major concern of macroeconomics is explaining business cycles, the short-term fluctuations in economic activity, recessions and expansions. 4. Long-run growth analysis. It also examines the factors that contribute to a country's long-term economic growth and improvements in living standards. 5. Policy orientation. Macroeconomics heavily informs government and central bank policies, fiscal and monetary policies, designed to achieve macroeconomic goals like stable prices, full employment, and sustainable growth. 6. Interdependence. It recognizes that different sectors of the economy, households, firms, government, rest of the world, are interconnected and their actions influence each other through the circular flow of income. 7. Theoretical models. Macroeconomists use simplified models, like the ISLM model, ADAS model, to represent complex economic interactions and predict the effects of various shocks and policies. Some notable macroeconomists. The field of macroeconomics has been shaped by many brilliant thinkers, often associated with different schools of thought. Here are some of the most influential. 1. John Maynard Keynes, 1883 to 1946, considered the father of modern macroeconomics. His seminal work, The General Theory of Employment, Interest and Money, 1936, revolutionized economic thought by emphasizing the role of aggregate demand in determining output and employment, especially during recessions. He advocated for active government intervention, fiscal policy, to stabilize the economy. 2. Milton Friedman, 1912 to 2006, a leading figure of the monetarist school. Friedman argued that inflation is always and everywhere a monetary phenomenon, emphasizing the crucial role of the money supply in influencing economic activity. He advocated for a stable, slow growth of the money supply and skepticism about discretionary fiscal policy. He received the Nobel Memorial Prize in Economic Sciences in 1976. 3. Robert Lucas Jr., 1937, a central figure in the new classical economics movement. Lucas introduced the concept of rational expectations into macroeconomics, which suggests that people use all available information to make informed decisions, implying that anticipated government policies might have limited real effects. He received the Nobel Memorial Prize in Economic Sciences in 1995. 4. Paul Samuelson, 1915 to 2009, a giant in economics, known for his foundational textbook Economics, which popularized many macroeconomic concepts. He integrated Keynesian ideas with neoclassical economics and contributed to various fields, including welfare economics and general equilibrium theory. He was the first American to win the Nobel Memorial Prize in Economic Sciences, 1970. 5. Franco Modigliani, 1918 to 2003. Known for his contributions to the life cycle hypothesis of consumption and the Modigliani-Miller theorem in corporate finance. His work provided a micro-foundation for understanding aggregate consumption behavior. He received the Nobel Memorial Prize in Economic Sciences in 1985. 6. James Tobin, 1918 to 2002. A Keynesian economist known for his work on financial markets and their role in the economy, particularly his Q theory of investment and his work on portfolio selection. He advocated for activist monetary and fiscal policies. He received the Nobel Memorial Prize in Economic Sciences in 1981. 7. Edmund Phelps, 1933. Known for his work on the natural rate of unemployment, NAIRU, and the role of expectations in wage and price setting, which helped modify the Phillips curve. He contributed significantly to understanding inflation dynamics. He received the Nobel Memorial Prize in Economic Sciences in 2006. 8. Greg Mankiw, 1958, a prominent contemporary macroeconomist and author of widely used textbooks, Principles of Economics, Macroeconomics. He is associated with New Keynesian economics and has contributed significantly to understanding sticky prices and their implications for monetary policy. These economists, among many others, have shaped our understanding of how economies function at a broad level and have influenced the policy tools governments use to manage them.